the business makes us mobile. And so we had the ability to just pack everything up. We'll be there. And so, we get to Page. Little did I know he had a home for us to stay in, like an Airbnb. You know, here's the keys to the car, gives me his BMW Sport. You can drive it while you're here, whatever you want to do. I'm like, sure. So all the conditions are like perfect to stay here. So we'll be here for the full 6 weeks. But we get to the restaurant and the back of the house, managing the kitchen and all that is all in order. Da 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 da. The front of the house needs some help. With the people who are in charge, with the people who are over what they call the toast system, which manages everything in a restaurant, seating and all that thing. When you see somebody, when you go into a restaurant, you see that computer there, they say, okay, you can sit at a table, all that. The whole process is managed by a system called Toast. Brenda starts learning that like immediately. She shifts into manager mode immediately. Whereas before at the house, she's like playing games all day. I'm like, are you doing anything? I'm working here. But anytime she needs to do something, she does it. And she shifted it to that mode. And I'm telling you, she has whipped this place into shape big time, big time. Managing contractors. And the restaurant is huge. I mean, it has a second floor, it's huge, but nothing was happening. And that's like the business. Nothing happens without that push, without that consistency, without that vision, you know, understanding that we need to move. We need to make things happen. They were just kind of just, lackadaisically kind of just, Brenda comes in, it's like boom, 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 and then of course I'm coming in and I'm doing computer science and working with IT and doing all those kinds of things. And us both coming together, and my brother-in-law's like, thank you. And the timing of everything in life is like precise and perfect. When we pay attention, and so this timing of us coming, some of the guys that were in charge, weren't really necessarily for his good, and they quit. Order comes in, all the the riffraff kind of just falls off, the scales fall off, and now he's ready to soar. Now he's ready to soar because the front of the house and the back of the house are all coming together. But the skill sets that we are acquiring and that we have in Surge 365 is amazing. And Laura, I'm so glad that you were able to join us because your team is happening. You just signed someone up yesterday. Congratulations. And you signed up Bernard. How long ago?
Oh, God. When it was a $79 special about 5 years ago. It's been telling me for the last 3 years, "I'm gonna reactivate. I'm gonna reactivate."
I
Okay.
know we have been working with him for a long time. And that's why you have to be patient with people. And you have been, so patient with him. And just kind of just wherever he's at, he was in school, he was in another state, and he was going through different things. And now he's ready to go. And he just signed up Chris Ramus, a nice young lady, yesterday. But I wanted to have you on, and Chantel had mentioned we need to have Laura on, and as a guest speaker. And I was like, you know what? You're right. She said she hit $1,000 bonus, and she needs to tell us some of those secrets because she is just making things happen in other businesses, and she's written a book. She's an author in a book,
Co-author. I co-authored. I wrote a
co-author.
chapter. I wrote a chapter. Yeah.
But that's a big deal. And so, I would appreciate you just kind of sharing with us all some of your tidbits and secrets and how you stay motivated and doing the things that you do. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Laura, if you can just share with us for, however long you want.
Oh, sure. Well, I appreciate you having me. A lot of you on here have known me since the beginning. I've always had Rick as a wonderful mentor. The things I've learned, and I learned even more about myself after I moved out of Colorado and I moved to Missouri, um, was, I love all the mentors and stuff, and I understand the concept of not reinventing the wheel and all of that, but it still doesn't work unless you know who you are and you figure out who you are inside. Otherwise, I just kept following this person, that person, trying to do this or regurgitate what they said, but I lost who I was in the process. But once I got to that and I figured out who I was, then yeah, I've always been a very heartfelt, heart-centered person. And sometimes that can, go the wrong way, but I've learned that I learned a lot of things about myself, and I ditched perfectionism for one. I will tell people that perfectionism is overrated. I am perfectly imperfect. They're either going to resonate with me or they're not. And that's okay. Not everybody's going to like us, but when it comes to business, for me, it's always been about relationships. I believe in meeting people where they're at and being present. You got to be present and listen to them. Can't get in that mode to where you just want to regurgitate. I used to, when I was always so excited about the travel, I used to throw up everything about people. It's kind of like vomiting out the mouth. You just, oh, I got this, I got that, this, and people's eyes just would like glass over. They act all excited, but then they don't sign up. And sometimes from some people, I went way too fast. So I have learned over the years to take the bits and pieces, to ditch when you're not attached to the outcome, when you're not attached to, oh, I have to have this person, I got to make this bonus. And you come from a place where you are truly just trying to help that person better their situation. One, you need to stop and you need to listen to that person and be present and actually hear what they're saying. You got to ditch the sales mode and hear what they're saying, and then apply what you know you have that can help them and meet them where they're at. If it's not for them person at the time, hey, great. Let's keep in touch. Let's contact. I never see anything as a waste of time. It's just you learn, and you'll learn for people maybe that you want to be in business with, and maybe who you don't. If they're not a good fit. When I found more of who I was and became naturally myself, and a lot of that was inner work with me. I had to learn that I am enough. I didn't have to prove anything to anybody. And the more I got in that space, the more I attracted what I would consider my tribe. There's a wise man on here who once told me that it wasn't the other people, it was me. Because I used to always attract the high drama people, and it was always issues and always this, and I was always taking it on. And he was right. And he was right. I had to make some changes, and I had to create those healthy boundaries and those distances. And those people fall off because that's what they love to do. And I don't hold the energy or the space for that anymore. I am always happy to help and support people, but I've also learned you cannot help people that don't want to help themselves. A lot of people get into the travel or any kind of business saying, oh, what I've got will be perfect for this person. I know they need this. I know they need this help. And they just keep going after them. The person has to want to change. They have to want the help um, in order to make it profitable for both. When you put people first and you're not tied to the outcome, the money comes. The money will follow. That is one thing that I have learned, and it has worked well for me. Um, yeah, like Chantel says, I've had the privilege of connecting with a lot of people because I decided to launch my own TV show. So I do have the, Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. And it's now its own TV channel. So I launched into my own channel April 1st, but it's allowed me to connect to so many people across the world. So I am international. I am global. I love getting the different perspectives. And so for me, everything I do, which travel fits right in there, is building a holistic, a judgment-free space. I want people to just treat people like the decent human beings they are and leave the judgment out of it. And travel is such a huge part when it comes to self-care and mindfulness because I don't care what business you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur, military, blue collar, white collar, we keep getting caught up in one rat race or another, and we stop taking the time to take time for ourselves. And you cannot keep pouring yourself out and doing everything for everybody without taking care of yourself. You're going to burn out. So those are some of the things that I have learned along the way. I don't know what else, what you else you would like me to talk about.
You know, one of the things I so admire about your journey is how you overcome adversity. You know, since we've been friends for a long time,
Yep.
and but what are some of the things you do to overcome adversity, and how, and we used to see this, something would always happen, and your attitude and how you just, bounced back, how you always stay how do you overcome adversity?
Something is always going to happen. Life happens. Learning that you can only control what you do, how you react, how you feel. Everything else, you need to learn to let it go. Yeah, I was talking to people because I got hit with, another thing in a row after a couple more deaths in the family or whatever. But then my truck caught on fire, burnt down. I got this. I'm still showing up at meetings. They're like, I love how you said. I'm like, apparently my truck decided the time was up. It was done. It's gone. It doesn't serve you any good to get all upset and cranked up about it. You can recognize those feelings. Sure, it may not be ideal, but it's not the end of the world, because how many times do we run conversations through our head, or we make things so much worse than what they are? I have to stop and I have to remind myself that, hey, this is okay. This showed up great. Now what do we do to fix it? You got to change the mindset. It's not that it happened to
How
you.
did you change your mindset? Because even like just recently, the spring door in the garage, the spring in the garage, and I
Oh my
had that
God.
happen to me.
Yeah, that pop was in the middle of the night, and I was like, we're like looking around. It's like, okay, I'm on 7 acres. My mailbox is like 800 feet from the house, and I'm like, and we don't have to worry about anybody, but we couldn't figure it out. Back in the day, I would say, oh my God, that's gonna be $600+ I got to get this fixed. I got to get that. I really don't. I've got a two-car garage. Well, we got the tools. So yeah, I backed my car out. We put the car dollies under the wheels because we work on race cars. Once we got the car and car dollies, we slid it over to the other side, took it back off the dollies and rolled it out. So we just don't use that side of the garage. I mean, I got plenty of space to park it. It does not have to happen now. I'm getting ready to go on a trip. I just got done, shelling out 1,700 for bug surgery, because his health, his health, my health, my fiance's health, that always comes first. So you learn what's important and what's not so important. And
Who's Bug?
yeah, well, okay, most people on here know Bug, and you'll see him at convention. But Bug will still be with me at convention. Bug is my service dog, that I adopted from my best friend. So he's 13, but you'd never know it. He still plays like a pup, but he got a tennis ball size sarcoma, and it turned out it was grade 2 cancer. But and everybody has different beliefs. So at first I was a little upset. Well, I was a lot upset kind of first, but I thought about it. I'm like, okay, I'm putting things in my head that I don't know for sure what it's at. You can't predict what's coming in the future. What you can control is what's now. And running scenarios in your head and making it worse is just extra stress that's going to affect your health. It's going to affect the way you think and function. Um, One thing that helped me, and like I said, everybody has different beliefs, and I don't ever judge anybody, whatever works for you. But one of my guests that I had on my show was Annie, from Brisbane, Australia, and she communicates with animals. So had her, she communicated with Bug for me. And so I know that he wanted the surgery. He felt the cancer is in there. I run frequencies on him. So I felt it gave me peace of mind, because I know I was choosing to do the correct thing for him. And so that was something else that helped me. But you got to cherish what you have and what you do. There's a lot of things that come up that you can't control.
Here's
I
what I
lost.
appreciate
Yeah.
about you, and just knowing your journey and how you know, grind it through. But what I really appreciated is when you said, okay, if it is to be, it's up to me. And remember when you start doing presentations
Yeah, whoever thought I'd do a TV show. Yeah. Mhm.
and how committed and dedicated you were in doing that. And just so that you could learn it and so that you could, you know, confidently share it and how long you was consistent and persistent in doing those presentations and you did such a fantastic job and you got better and better and better. What motivated you to just dive in and to take control like that?
So for anyone that didn't know that part of the journey, I could always regurgitate Rick's story verbatim for word. And I could do the slideshows, and we were doing those presentations in his basement, and I'd be fine doing them. But if somebody else showed up with another team member, I wasn't going to do it because I didn't want to be the one responsible for why that person didn't join. And I didn't want to. So for one, I used to always still worry about what everybody else thought and not stood kind of in my own power. And then I started doing the presentations at the IHOP. But when I ditched that and I actually put in some slides of my own and I made it mine, I actually had people start coming up to me telling me that they really loved my presentation. They hope that I do the rest of them in the future. And at that time, and it's not that we really, or not that we should need any kind of validation from anyone, but at that time, I still always craved validation from somebody. So that always kind of helped. And surrounding myself with people that believed in me, knew what I could do, was always a big part. When you have the right tribe of people, the right support, we're like family. And you can't ever replace that. So that's been huge. I have newer and even more extended families now across the world, and it means the world to me. I know I can connect with them, even if it's on Zoom. Maybe we can, these virtual hugs, not real hugs, but that's okay. But finding that did a lot. And it was scary doing the TV show. When I launched the TV show, I was like, okay, because I used to do free little interviews. I thought people could resonate with people better if they got to meet them, hear from them, and hear what they could do for them instead of seeing a profile picture and, oh, this is what I do. Everybody kept calling a podcast, kept saying, not a podcast, just an interview. And I created a YouTube channel. And then I got the chance to do the TV show. And you can see the very first episode and season. You can watch me grow. With it, they were always a little rough. I had to ditch the whole rigidness. You know me, military, 15 minutes early is on time. You can't do that when you have business meetings and stuff because these people pack in their schedules. So it's like, yeah, okay, I give them till 5 after. You don't show, I'll shut down the meeting and hey, just reschedule. It's life happens. I don't get worked up about it. I move on. But and I was getting even better or feeling better about my show. We had over 18,000 monthly viewers, so that helps boost your confidence too. But I got even another new boost when April 1st, I broke out of the Voyage to Vitality channel to become my own Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross TV channel. And that was just like a whole nother thing. So yeah, it's just kind of it's just gradual. It's just been extra little bumps. It's been a journey. It still will be a journey. I'll always be learning and growing.
How did you come up with the name Mindful Journeys?
Mindful Mondays?
Mindful
Well, I
Mondays.
chose, well, to me, mindfulness, self-care is kind of in one of the same. And I was always, maybe it's a military thing, wanting to kind of rhyme or have it little acronyms together. But I took the Monday slot for 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I thought of Mindful Mondays. But of course, somebody else has a Mindful Monday. So mine is Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross. So it has with my name so that I'm in there. But yeah. And then, of course,
How
I've met people that have helped me with branding, which dolphins, that's in my brand. I've been attracted to them. So
you've just done so much. And you know, what is so impressive are the people that you've met along the way to help you to your next step.
yeah.
Like you said, the people that helped you with branding. First of all, you just practiced and practiced and practiced and to become a speaker.
Yeah, and I don't fit those molds either. I'll tell you, I got too much in my head. I've followed a lot of business coaches. I've done a lot of different things. And what I found is you have to take from whatever coach you're working with or mentors you're working with, you've got to take the lessons that you've learned, but you really have to make it you and not them. And I don't, I told people, I said, I am not an in the box person. I don't fit the mold. Everybody wants to put a title on me. Are you a coach? Are you this? I said, I am the entrepreneur of me. Okay. Don't, you
That's
can
good.
label me whatever you like, but I don't have labels. I don't subscribe to labels. So,
That's good.
um,
Hey, Laura,
yeah.
from your racing experience, what has that taught you, or how have you used your racing world to shape who you are and what you do?
Oh,
Talk a little bit
racing?
about your racing world also. They don't know.
Racing cars on a dirt track.
Excellent question, Mariano.
Quarter mile circle dirt track. Yeah, I would say that is definitely a good part of self-care because when you get in that car and they're waving you on the track, everything goes away. You could be sweating to death, you don't feel hot. You could be freezing, you don't feel cold. You kind of actually stop breathing because of the adrenaline and you just and you start going. But I mean, it really forces you to just focus on what you're doing and all of the other noise and everything in your head goes away. So I would say that is definitely a good form of self-care to just dump everything else because a lot of us have trouble shutting off the monkey brain. We always have 10 million things going, which is why I always tell people self-care is important. You got to not beat your head against the wall and keep hitting something. Sometimes you just have to go walk away, go in nature, do something that you enjoy that can reset you. So, yeah, that's one of the things I would say it definitely does. That is definitely self-care. It just makes everything just at least nothing else just go away and disappear and helps you
Is
reset.
that a hobby or is that
Hey,
something deeper than a hobby?
It was it.
Laura. Oh, go
Mhm.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, it was a
Go ahead.
hobby.
Go ahead.
I would say it was a hobby. I raced for about 5 years. My intention is to get Dakota back on the track, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to move to Missouri because I know we were surrounded by dirt tracks, and I believe you should do what you love in your life. And he loves doing that. And it's a lot like North Dakota, only warmer. And we're in the Ozarks, so we have a little more mountains. But yeah, for me, it was a hobby. I'll jump in one anytime. I did on the short track over here with Hillbilly Speedways. A couple of people said, "Hey, let's see you guys go," and they offered up their cars. We're thinking, "You nuts?" I'm like, "Okay, fine." So, it's a fun thing, of course. And just so you know, I did beat Dakota on that one. But yeah, a little bit competitive. So.
So
Hey, Laura.
what about from?
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Ed.
So I just want to say, what you were speaking about, Laura, I believe they call it getting in the zone, where you block everything out and it's just you and the task at hand, and nothing else really matters at that time. And it just brought to mind what a wonderful place to be when you're traveling and you're sitting on the beach and you get in that travel zone. Trademark, Team Get. You get in that travel zone and everything just goes away and you finally take a breath and relax. It's similar. It's an more intense situation than just sitting on the beach racing on a dirt track and you inches away from your competitor. But it's similar as far as mentality, where you can just focus on the task at hand, whether it be racing or just resting. And that's the place I want to be.
100%. And that's like I always tell everybody, self-care mindfulness is different for everybody. And it's like I tell people, if you're in whatever business or job you're working, if it's not lighting you up and you're not looking forward to doing it, you're probably in the wrong business. That's just not a way to go through life. But when I need breaks here, we got a beautiful chunk of property. I feed the birds, I feed the squirrels, I feed the deer. My hummingbirds are here. So I got hummingbird feeders out, and I even put the ones out because Orioles will be coming through. I'll just go out and walk around the property, or I'll just sit out there and watch the birds. You know, it's just something to relax and reset. I leave all the electronics inside because they don't need me. Whatever's there will be waiting for me. It'll be there in 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes, whatever I feel I need to just step away. And you have to be able to do that.
So Laura,
Tatiana?
going back to the racing,
Mhm.
yeah, from the perspective of, because I know how competitive you are, especially when you get on the track, and I know that you don't win every race. How has that shaped you or taught you about success and failure? Because it's kind of like with golfers. As good as they are, they can't win every week,
Right.
and so you have to be. It shapes your mentality some way. So how does that affect you?
So I am still competitive, but not to the point where I'm upset about it. I'm happy for anyone else that wins. I'm happy for people that even got in the car, to even give it a try. And it's the same with business. You got to be happy for people, meet them where they're at, and be proud of where they come. It's not for you to judge, and it's not for them to judge you. You have to feel good with you and where you are. So in that sense, competition goes away. And like I told people, I do not subscribe to competitive when it comes to business at all. We are always taught SWOT analysis. What is SWOT analysis? What is your competitor doing? I'm like, I don't care. I don't have competition. I have collaboration. I can
Thank you.
collaborate with people
That's
because
good.
I think we can do more together than we can by ourselves. Travel is a huge industry. Maybe someone wants to do weddings. Maybe somebody wants to do this. I told people I can have 1,000 self-care coaches on that show. It doesn't matter because the thing is that we're all different personalities. We're all different types. We're all trying to get people to the same place. But how we get them there is who you resonate with. If they don't resonate with you, don't force it. If they resonate with you, then it's meant to be. Lock arms and run. But yeah, I get all these people say, well, what's your competition? You got to look at this. No, I don't. I am the entrepreneur with me. They either resonate with me or they don't, and I prefer to collaborate. It's like I said, together
So
we
are
can
you
do more.
saying, so are you saying there's more than enough to go around for everybody?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. I
Hey,
don't
Laura.
get upset if someone that I talked to about travel got into the travel business under somebody else. Obviously, I was either not at the right time, or I did not say the right thing to them, or there was something about them that they didn't want to be that close in my space, and that's okay. So,
Love it, Laura. Love it. Absolutely. And it's amazing. It's a whole wide world out here. Glenn and I went to Victoria, BC. What you talking about? Getting in the zone, chilling, just chilling all the way and relaxing. It's like a 3 hour to get over in 3 hours coming back. And it was just amazing just because we had not been there before. And when we got over there, it was the brightest, sunniest day. And like, what are you planning for today? Walking around, checking it out. Ran straight into a Starbucks, of course. Had lunch on the water. This is the world that we are in.
yeah.
One of the worlds we're in, because like, Lord, we are so multi-dimensional. Like, I try not to get into anybody's box.
Yeah.
Be who you are. And that's our part. Are we going to see you in August?
You are. I've already paid for that. I just haven't booked it. It's less than 3 hours from my house. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes from my house. It's up the road. I used to go when it was 12 hours from Colorado, but it's only less than 3 hours away. So yes, Bug and I will be there at convention in August.
Back to the future. We're ready. Good to
Yep.
see you.
Yep. It'll be good to see you guys too. But
Laura, I know when you made the decision to move from Colorado to Missouri and how difficult that was as a decision to step into the unknown. Can you kind of just briefly talk about what went through your mind in that? Because you had to leave your family, your mom, to move. I mean, we were like, is she really gonna go?
oh yeah, and that had to be all me. Really, there was a lot of different, kind of a little bit pushback or concern. Um, Personally, we just didn't like the way Colorado was headed. I could see it wearing on Dakota's face. Grease Monkey bought his business out. It just, I'm like, I already lost everything once. And the last couple of years when we were on vacations, Dakota and I were talking about different states, different places we would live. And then this came down and he was just miserable. And I'm like, no, it's time to go. And so then he was like, and at first he was fine. And then it's just like it even hit him. He's like, I didn't think you would ever sell this house or leave this place because my late husband and I built that house, and your whole family's here. I said, well, what do you think we were talking about, moving for? I said, I understand my family's here. But, when I had someone come into the house, they were telling us they were looking through Tennessee, Missouri, and the price of properties and the stuff that you could get. I'm like, that's time for a fresh start. It was time for a fresh start. I love my family dearly. And I will tell you, I moved because I've already lost everything once when my husband died. I wasn't going to see it happen again. And that was something that I could control. Right. So I started packing and I let my parents kind of know a little bit. Well, were singing me happy birthday on my phone while I was at BioLife donating plasma. And he asked about the job. And I told him, yeah, that's not going well. Grease Monkey taking them over was not a good thing. It became a corporate nightmare for him. They tied him into all these Denver stores. They're blowing up his phone constantly. And I told my dad, I said, no, we're working on some things. We'll let you know when we figure it out. I already knew we were moving, but I wasn't telling them. It was my way of kind of a softer entry rather than, hit them with it. So I had worked on it. And then my dad called me a couple days later, wanting to know about gas prices. And he says, yeah, your mom and I were talking. She says, she feels big changes are coming like you're moving. And I said, we are. He said, North Dakota. I said, no, Missouri. And he's like, that's pretty. That's a pretty state. He just thought we were moving closer to Dakota's dad. I said, it's not about moving closer to anyone's family. It's about a fresh start for us.
Wow.
The property and the stuff was down here and we needed to start. So I even had to go through the panic mode because then Dakota started getting all, I didn't think because now he's thinking, well, I'm, 50 something years old. How am I going to get another job? He's worked for them for 24 years. I'm like, hey, Vicky says people don't like to work down here. It's be easy. And I said, you don't need to have some high paying job. You could work at Andy's Frozen Custard for whatever, for 17 bucks an hour. So it's not like there wasn't something we could jump into. I worked from home. I knew I could move with it. And of course, I always put business on hold when that came in. I packed the house up myself. So I did do things a little backwards than people. My friend from here that we met them on the racetrack out in Colorado, but they were from the Lebanon Springfield area. She hooked me up with a realtor, gave me some properties to look at. I packed up that house myself and then hired someone to just pack up the pods. I did all the logistics, which normally Air Force took care of that. So that was the first on my own. Most people, I guess, would take a vacation and go check out houses and find a place first. Yeah, I didn't do that. I just knew we had some things to look at. We put the house on the market January 1st. It was under
Before
contract for
you knew
sale.
where you were going to move?
I did not know.
Wow. What
We
faith?
left
That's
January
faith.
1st. Yeah, we left January 1st to spend a week in the Lake of the Ozarks and drive down to these properties that we were looking at. We towed the race car out with the trailer because Jim and Vicky said that, because we had too many vehicles to bring in one trip. So we brought the race car and the trailer and some other stuff that we loaded up in the truck and left that here on their property when we came back because they had 66 acres. So not a problem, store it there. And so we're driving back and forth every day. And I'm already getting an offer. We already had offers for the house. We had 10 showings. We had one showing in a snowstorm, 10 showings the next day. It was under contract.
Wow.
We're still looking at home. Still didn't know where. Okay, fine, sign it. Let's go. And then I woke up when we started on Monday and Wednesday morning, I just woke up because at first I was like, who photoshopped these homes? Because these were not what they looked like. Wednesday morning, I just woke up with the feeling that that was going to be the day. And that's when we had found this house. And so then I just had to figure out how to make things, work. Because, when someone's leaving a 24-year career and you don't have a job per se, and I'm self-employed but only have this, I found a lady at the bank that was willing to work with us, and not just plug us into some formula, but actually figure out how we could make this work to get approved for a loan and to do the house. And we moved.
You're
So
ideal. So, how does a person find someone like Laura Cross in the business? Because people, in the business, they're looking for go-getters, they're looking for self-starters, they're looking for all of those different attributes. how do they find, would you say, a person like yourself? Or what hope could you give them? Or advice could you
I
give them?
mean, they're out there. They're definitely out there. I think some of us, and it depends on, again, you know, what your belief is. You know, you can call it faith. I just told people it's just kind of like I finally started listening to my gut, my own intuition. There's some of us that we all have those abilities. We all have that energy. And if you don't get so in your head about business and stuff, and you get to know that person and build that relationship, there's people I've met across the world where I feel like I've known them all my life and I've just met them. And some of them are great to run with. But yeah, I think I believe you attract it. You know,
I believe that. I believe that.
when you stay in, when you know who you are and you stay in yours and you're not compromising anything, you're being authentically yourself, you will attract those like-minded people.
You
That is
know,
about the
something
best way I can say it. And that's my tribe. The
that's
ones
good.
the ones that don't fit that, they fall off, and it's okay.
You know, we on our team, we have kind of a different philosophy when you look at how we think about things, you know, on our team and our tribe
Hmm.
with other folks who may be in network marketing or business in general. A lot of times we're misunderstood and they don't really get how we approach business. You know, because we're not just driven, but it's more,
Yeah.
like you said, the mindfulness and more of a, you know, attracting people that you want to work with and that you enjoy being around and not just anyone.
Yeah, get to know them. I mean, if you take the time to get to know them and you're not just coming at them with a used car salesman because you need that next sale and you need the next bonus, you know, when you ditch all that and you put that person first and you put what their concerns or their needs are, there's a deeper connection there. And it's about
A
building
deeper
relationships. And
connection.
sometimes that takes time. You know, Bernard, I met in online
Bernard,
classes. You remember when I went back to school? That's how I met Bernard, was through Argosy online classes. That's how I
oh
met
my
Bernard. He was in one of my
gosh, that is
classes.
so true.
And so, you know, and even when I was doing pre-sale, you tell me, no, that is your job. I'm thinking, no, that's not my job. I didn't want school being my job. I was just getting paid to go to school. But that's how I met Bernard. So, and it's just, we've always kept in touch. Sometimes we fall off. Sometimes it's like, okay, we'll be on the phone for 2 hours now because now we haven't talked for like, you know, 6 months to a year. It doesn't mean we're not still, you know, we're
Right.
not still connected. You don't, to be connected doesn't mean you necessarily have to talk every single day.
You didn't
But
drive him away
mm-mm.
because he wasn't
No, I
doing
didn't
what
get
you
upset at him
wanted him to
because
do.
it wasn't his right time or he didn't leave. That's okay. You know, people need to do what's best for them. And
We actually
yeah.
did a double team on him. And you know what? We both had the same kind of philosophy. Don't drive him away, befriend him and make a
Right.
friend. And then, you know, let him do what he needs to do, working through whatever issues he's got, life issues, and he'll come when he's ready. Now, you're a veteran
Hmm.
and very proud veteran, like all of us, and many of us on the call are veterans. What has that contributed to how your philosophy toward life, toward business, has that had an influence at all? And if so, how has that influenced you in your attitude toward business?
I had to ditch a lot. I had to really ditch some of that. I will tell you that much. Because military is fairly rigid and you do this, and that. Yeah, I ditched that. I mean, I've got people, I'm so sorry for the last minute notice. I'm like, hey, I'm not upset. Life happens. Just reschedule. You know, you always need to be respectful, I think, of that person's time, you know, but I used to get so wound up because I'm like, where is this person? Did they not have the link to this? Because I'm on early enough, right? But they're coming off of another meeting, so they may not be on the hour. Maybe they're coming in a minute or two, you know, after, or they're coming in right on time. And I will tell you one reason, that's another reason why I record. I, I pre-record my shows. I don't go live because I don't know who's going to not show up. That's just way too much stress. But when you just roll with it and you don't get like all upset, it's like, oh my God, why are they not showing up or why are they not doing this? It, everything just flow, just let things flow. You know, the more you can just let things flow, the better it is. So yeah, some of that military training, I kind of had to, you know, the honor, the loyalty, that will always be with me. And I always respect that. I love that with other people, because that's everything to me is integrity and honesty and all of that above. I don't like people that like to pretend they're one way and then you find out there's something totally different, or it's like a bait and switch. That's not my kind of people.
What impresses me as a military guy, a military veteran, and seeing you is your failure is not an option piece.
I don't, I don't even look at everything as anything as a failure anymore. It was a lesson learned. Again,
You
change
never
your mindset,
stop.
change your wording. It was a lesson learned. I either learned what I did or I did not want to do, and I moved on. It's not a failure. I don't fail.
You never stop. Nothing never makes you go, oh my gosh, it's over, it's all done, and that may be just how you are and not from the military, but that is impressive because that's what winners are made of.
I did
Winners are
learn to
made.
put my big girl pants on, because normally I don't like confrontations. And if things happen, yeah, I'd rather just cut and say, "Psh, son, done, see ya," and move on. But I've also learned that if you just have an honest and genuine, conversation with someone, you can actually open up more, because I have a new relationship with another business with somebody. And let me tell you, we are two totally different personalities. And I'm like, okay, people attract me for a reason. And if you're going to show up, I need you to show up this way. Otherwise, this is not going to work. But I had to stand up and say that, because otherwise it was going to ruin relationships that I had and that I built. And that's like, that's not, I
How do
won't
you
talk.
find the courage to do that? Because a lot of people just kind of go with the flow and they don't, they lose themselves in the process sometimes. So how did you find the courage to actually do that?
So it took a minute. I thought about it, but then I also had to stop and think about how I was feeling.
That's good.
If my whole body is getting in knots and I'm feeling like upset because, okay, I don't know if the upset version is going to show up, or is this version going to show up? How is this coming? I work hard for my reputation in my relationships, and having someone come in like that that's attached to me does not look good on me, and I don't want it ruining a relationship. So, but yet we were a good fit and we're blowing up a business together. And I was like, okay, moving forward, I just wrote a polite note. I said, look, moving forward, I first started out that I greatly appreciate their knowledge, their time, our friendship, everything. So, but this is what's happening. I am getting feedback. I am losing. People do not want to communicate with me after this. I need the cool, calm, collected, knowledgeable person to show up moving forward. If we cannot do that, I can do this on my own, and that's okay. But and they said, nope, thank you. And absolutely. And next time, they showed up as the cool,
Wow.
calm place. We didn't go off on, political tangents or rants. Or I'm like, okay, good. So they know now that that's how they have to show up when they're on mine. I jumped on one of his, and I was just like, oh my God, that was embarrassing as it's and obnoxious. There's no way I would do that. But we're just totally different personalities.
So during COVID,
Yeah.
you didn't shut down. Like
No,
we none of us shut down during COVID. We just we created conversations from home.
we did. We did. And I used to do Wednesday travel talks to try and prove to people were still letting them know what was available. You could still travel. I will say that wore me out, just because even the travel industry got bickering back and forth as to what you needed to. And I was just like, yeah, okay. I just didn't want that in my face anymore. I was kind of over it. I was over it before it started. But again, I don't judge. People have to do what they believe they need to do to get through those times. And so I would have never stopped travel, but I'd come across people like, oh, well, nobody's traveling. Yeah, they are. I'm like, people can still travel, but you have to do what's comfortable for you. And that's kind of more when I morphed over to self-care, because I realized the reason I wanted people to travel was to take better care of themselves. Locking yourself up and putting yourself in this bubble does not help you.
One
It's
of the
not
things for
healthy.
the folks, Laura disappeared for a minute as she was reinventing herself. As a leader, you have to allow people to do that, and not get so uptight saying, where are you? because she was being pulled, by her future to other things, to acquire other skill sets, to acquire other talents, to acquire a new group of friends. And she found out some of them weren't necessarily her friends, but she had to go down that path, just to see. It's almost like the explorers of the past who, went west, go west, or to find different lands. And looking and observing her journey, she didn't leave travel, but she had to do some other things, that enhanced her travel experience and her travel business. That was impressive. And little did we know she was going to create this holistic, thing that talked about self-care, with a piece of it being travel and being able to roll in all of her expertise that she had from travel, that she knew while she acquired other skill sets. That was powerful. That was definitely impressive, Norman.
It's all in alignment. And they always tell you you have
Alignment.
multiple streams of income, and that's great. But my multiple streams need to be aligned. And to me, they are all aligned. They're all about self-care and mindfulness, travel, the holistic, different modalities and stuff that I have that can help people health-wise. To me, it all fits. It has to be aligned. It has to make sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Multiple streams of income. Talk a little briefly about Melaleuca and what you're doing there.
So when I had Dr. Grant on my show and I met Dr. Grant, I learned about the AO voice scan. So I can do that with people anywhere. 10
What's
seconds of
that?
your
What's that?
AO voice scan takes rife frequencies and the like the technology from like Nikola Tesla, where he proved you don't have to have wires to transmit energy.
Right.
And
We have to
so
pay for electricity, right? You don't have
yeah,
to
yeah,
pay
you
for
don't.
electricity.
So, and it used to be a device. Now it's an app. I can have it on my phone or my computer. But 10 seconds of your voice and it will kick out pages and pages of reports, MRI-like pictures. It takes your thousands of vibrations and frequencies. It finds your 3 highest, your 1 lowest, and it will tell me what foods are causing inflammation, what's causing diminishing functions. Are you pre-diabetic? What emotions are blocked in you that are causing, pain? And of course, the Dr. Grant's been with Melaleuca for over 28 years, and they've been around for over 40. So we know their supplements have a 95 to 98% absorbency rate. So I can recommend supplements or in lifestyle changes. We give him lifestyle changes because he's integrative medicine, functional medicine, lifestyle medicine doctor. So, which he wants me to do his doctorate program in my spare time. I will work on that. But in the meantime, I still learn everything. And so I can pull him in anytime. He's in Toronto, Canada. But I've done well over 100 scans, and I have customers, clients, team members, whatever you want to call them, in New Zealand, in Netherlands, in UK is going to start. I got them across America and Canada. But I love it because I had to get all the toxic stuff out of this house. And anything that's in
That
your
is
home,
so
Windex,
awesome.
Tilex, it's all cancer causing stuff. So
Wow.
yeah, so I replaced all of that with everything that's all natural, essential oils. I don't want any of it in here anymore. So, like I said, it all ties together because you want to be, well, you should never stop traveling regardless. I don't think you just travel differently, but isn't it better when you can travel and you'll be healthy and you can travel? So,
That is
so
so
yeah.
good. That you have your journey, of course, is not complete. What's next? What's the vision for the future?
Well, I'm definitely going to be traveling more. That's why I am going to Salt Lake City, Utah, because I'm already director level 2, about to be 3 and roll up to 4 for Melaleuca. So that's why I'm going to Salt Lake City, for their convention. But, yeah, still travel. I still have my cruise to take from Princess that I haven't taken yet. And Virgin Voyages is, yeah, top of my, I mean, we'll be traveling, more again. It's going to help pull us out. I did go through 2 deaths in the family, and Dakota did lose his
Mm,
toe a few months after we moved here. But working with Dr. Grant and Melaleuca, I have been able to get him off all of his diabetic medication except for 4 milligrams of metformin, or not metformin, more 4 milligrams of glimepiride. I've had him off metformin for a long time. I've been able to help reverse his kidney damage, His blood sugars are where they need to be, between 80 and 120. He's not way up out of the roof. So yeah, we've been making, and I will tell you, I have released 30 pounds and I'm working on more. I have learned to use the word release. We did not lose it, because when you lose something, your brain works to find it. And I have no desire to find that weight again. So I have
Release it.
released,
You
I have
released
released
it.
30 pounds. Again, it's mindset, it's terminology, it's the words you say. If you are more mindful about your words and put things in more of a positive light, it's a whole lot better. It's a whole lot better.
Wow. I can imagine Dakota with peace.
Yeah. He's actually really quite calm. I've even got him drinking part of the detox water,
Oh,
which is a
wow.
chore, let me tell you. But yeah,
Wow. You
so
know, allowing people to change. Like, you're not the same person. I know all of us on here have seen your journey and know you from way back when. And just listening to you, I'm sure everybody on the call will agree that it's not the same Laura, that we knew, what, 20 years ago?
yeah, it's the Laura that always wanted to be, just didn't
20
know, because I was
years.
busy following everybody else.
But you know what, though? You were learning,
I was, but I
you
wasn't,
know.
yeah, I was always still looking for everybody else's approval. I wasn't standing in my own, and now I stand in my own. So it's a big
Wow.
difference.
That's the biggest difference now, huh?
Hmm.
That you
Yeah.
stand in your own what? Space? What's that word?
My own space, my own. I don't look for people's approval. I don't ask people, "Does this okay?" or "What do you think about this?" I'm like, "This is what I feel I need to do." I just go with it. It's either gonna work or it doesn't. It's okay.
Anyone have
People know it's
any
me. People know it's me.
people know it's you?
No.
Wow. From the little girl, right? Who was always whatever, whatever, whatever.
No,
The little girl that was
she's
40
never
something years
been.
old that still hadn't grown up. Yeah.
No, you've never been little. But I just want to say that I'm extremely proud of you,
Thank you.
and I just want to know how do we watch your show, or how do we, stay in touch with your other things that are going on?
Oh, well, you got my phone number. So I do have my show streams on YouTube. So it's at Mindful Mondays with Laura Cross on the YouTube channel. And I do have the White Sand Self-Care community group that I created on Facebook. And I always tell people, I always welcome people to join that, share your events. If you've got master classes, events, whatever coming up, share it. I mean, it's meant for resources. Nothing is a competition. I just ask for people not to be, sleazy, like, "Hey, you need an extra 500 this month." No, nobody needs that. Connect with people, and how you can help them, or how you can enhance their life, and take it from there. I mean, we're all business owners at the end of the day. There's going to be a transaction in there somewhere, but it doesn't have to be, all over the Facebook. I approach people with things that I have done. I share my journey on Facebook and stuff, so that people know what I do and what I'm about. I follow myself. I'm not going to sit back and ask somebody to do this and do that when I'm sitting here doing the opposite, or that things happen. And I'll share other stuff every now and then, because things are not always rosy. But I have learned I don't dwell in them as long anymore. Or I don't stay stuck as long anymore. So,
Hey, Chris, did you have any questions at all?
No, I'm good. I can agree with a lot of what Laura is saying. Like, I could validate probably half of what she said. I'm in that soul search, whatever part of my life right now that Laura discussed, where you're just trying to figure out your path and everything. And I've also been told I'm a little stubborn. The whole don't reinvent the wheel, but in your brain something works better, whatever. Uh, you know, Sticking to the game plan has been one of my biggest chores. So, but yeah, that's what I'm just kind of staying in my sport, just going in work and making it work for me at this point in time.
Yeah, you
yeah,
got to do that.
you have to
Go
figure
ahead,
out
Laura.
what works. Yeah, you
So
have to
yeah,
figure out what works for you. Absolutely. Um,
Nobody
and
can tell you that either, huh?
No, and like I said, in all
no,
honesty, I moved here for Dakota. I didn't really realize I was moving here for me. You know,
Wow.
like I said, I love
Wow.
my family dearly, but I needed the distance because family functions were
Yes.
no longer fun. My father was wrapped so tight. Oh, this one married someone that this one doesn't like, and can't stand the president, can't stand this. You stop. I mean, he was so wound tight, and for a while I felt really bad because when he blew a fuse before we left over breakfast, something didn't go right and he had a temper tantrum. Never seen a 70-something-year-old man do a temper tantrum, but I told my mom, I said, he's wound way too tight. He's going to have a damn heart attack. And less than a year, my father had a massive stroke and I lost him January 21st of 2023. And I used to feel really guilty about that. But then I learned from other people, I wasn't speaking it into existence. It's just, I felt it. I knew it was coming and
Yeah.
I said it. Um,
Right.
so, but, you know, and then I had challenges because, you know, it took over 13 years for my father to refer to me as a business owner, you know, because, oh, I hope
This
you're making money.
family,
I
huh?
hope you're making money with that thing. You know,
Yeah.
they're trying to be supportive. I hope you're making money with that thing. But even after I got here, when my dad was talking to me, I was showing him about I learned from the farmer's market how to grow tomato plants out of a 5-gallon bucket. And my dad's like, who are you? I'm thinking, exactly. I didn't get to be who I was. I'm figuring out I actually enjoy this. I'm not all, you know, wrapped up. This is so cool. People are so down to earth and laid back. I don't miss chaotic and crazy. I'm like,
I
Fairgrove,
know,
Fairgrove
huh?
has 1,393 people and I'm on the rural side of it. So you know, I don't miss chaotic and crazy. I don't mind
That's
driving 20
awesome.
minutes to go to the store. I'm good.
That's
See,
awesome.
I would say I'm opposite on that end because like for me, I thrive on chaotic and crazy. Like normal is doesn't work for me, but I'm also an ADHD dyslexic person that's what I say semi-functional. And the only reason I say semi-functional is because your definition of functional and mine are two different things apparently. But
Nope, you are genius
I
and you
just
are
roll
very
with
high
it.
functioning. There is nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Neurodiversity.
I need to get that like in a statement or something. I'm a genius and
No,
No,
it's true. It's
yeah,
true.
I know.
it is true.
Yeah.
And even Dr. Grant, he wrote a book about ADHD and ADD. And like he said, he hates that people want to medicate him all the time. He goes, they don't need
Oh yeah,
medication. They are genius. They function differently. And just because we don't understand it doesn't mean we throw meds at them. Yes,
That's
there
right.
are
That's
certain
right. That's
foods
right.
that can make things worse, but you know,
right.
no. And some
The
people are
only
high functioning. It's got to be what works for you.
right.
Oh
And
yeah.
the only medication I take is the occasional Friday night. So
Yeah, you know, a lot of folks don't understand it, but we work with folks who, I mean, they teach, you know, how to treat neurodiversity as not a treatment per se with medication, but it's just a different way of thinking that is no different than any other way of thinking. And that people, you can't put folks in a box because this is how you do things. But you're right, Laura, it's another level of genius. And so we actually talk about neurodiversity travel, and we've created a way for families that have children or the adults, you know, that want to go and travel. And we've created a whole process for that. Not only just the travel of the families, but also to be able to approach the different industries, the hotels. Here's what you should expect. Here's the changes. Just like, you know, what happened with handicap or I can't, you know, I don't like to say handicap, but you
Special
know, that
needs.
whole
Yeah.
industry,
Special needs, disabilities.
right.
They
special
have all their,
needs. And
yeah.
so we're working with the industry and showing them, you know, the changes that need to be made to regulations, you know, and the changes that they need to understand to service, you know, this population that is looking to do more, looking to travel more. And so this is a whole part of what we do in the travel industry, you know, and being able to
And like
create picture cards, you know, because, you know, people that have neurodiversity, they need to know what's going to happen. And, you know, they need to
I
be able to see, especially children.
right. I don't look at it as any kind of disability or anything. To me, it's a vibe. It's an energy source,
The vibe is
and
the energy source, good way to put it.
it's you know like we Laura talked about vibes and things like that earlier. That's how I look at it. Hey, this is my vibe. Roll with it, or don't. Whatever. But also, I look at it as for me, like the only quote unquote handicap-ish thing I have is the dyslexia. You know,
And
But
that's a
like
business opportunity.
as far as the ADHD goes, hey, it's just part of life. It's part of my vibe. When I don't use it as an excuse for nothing. So
Hey, that's a business
yeah,
opportunity because there's a whole, and that's what we're doing with that. There's a whole community out there that needs to be understood. And so, as a business opportunity, you are an expert in understanding what that community needs and being able to basically translate, to others, here's what this is, which creates actually a business opportunity for you and maybe an area that you may want to shift into, even with Surge 365, or even some of the things that Laura's doing. But that's the whole business opportunity. But everything is perspective. And so,
Yeah.
Laura, I didn't
yes,
want to keep you too long.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Any other
this is
things
this
for
is normally
Laura?
my day off, so you're fine.
Rick, as I was listening to a lot of the conversation, this was absolutely on point. And because the world is shifting into so much, you have to walk in your power. The world wants to put you in all these titles and labels, and I never agreed with that. And I know you have to have a way of serving people, but when you take that and you kind of set aside people because you put them in that, I don't agree with that at all. We have lived it, we're living it. And I look at people as people. You know,
exactly.
we have family members that are dealing with whatever that title is. When I look at you, I say, hi, Chanel. I say, hi, Micah. I say, hi, Noah, or whoever I'm talking to. I don't come up and say, oh, you're autistic. We don't do that. We
Hmm.
just treat you as a human being. That's what we do.
Exactly.
And we learn to serve you as you learn to. And we're learning so much from you're teaching me how to teach you. And if I just take a few minutes and kind of listen to you, maybe I will learn something better here.
Sure.
But people are real deal. They're people.
Oh yeah.
And if we choose to see and acknowledge, it could just be um, if you think something's different there, okay, just stand back a little. Give people a little space. I'm like that myself. So if you could put a title on me, but I'm a lot like that. If I don't know you, don't walk up on me. Talking about, you know what I mean?
Don't try to put
It's the
me in a box.
stereotypes. Yeah, it's the stereotypes, all the stuff we grew up with.
Yeah,
If you would just
don't put
ditch
me in a
it and not
box.
You know what I
try.
mean?
Yep.
But
Right.
but just love people. Just be kind to people. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Exactly.
Thank you for this conversation. It has been very, very encouraging and engaging. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you
If
for
I had to
having
Thank
me.
you.
put a
Yeah.
title, if I had to put a title on it, Chantel, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Don't
Laura
put me in
has
a
has
box.
has taught us to walk in your power.
Mhm. Yeah.
Don't let people put you in a box. Walk in your power and evolve. Be willing to evolve and understanding your environment and choosing which path you want to go, not the path that someone's dictating for you to go, but the one that feels most comfortable, the one that feels most natural, and to attract versus chase, and to understand that we're not in a competitive race. We're in a collaborative race. If you want to put a race on it, but collaborate, find who's doing what.
Yeah.
What can I learn from them? To help me move further ahead. What can I teach them? And so, Laura, I just appreciate you coming on. And of course, you're welcome anytime. You are served. You are team
Yeah, I
built.
know. I plan on being more active. Just Thursdays are normally our
No,
days off.
just do your
But, yeah.
thing. Do your thing. And just like you just so graciously responded, to the invitation. Basically, Chantel said, "Hey, we need to have Laura on."
I
And I
appreciate
said,
it. Yeah, normally we're gone on appointments or something for Dakota,
"Yeah,
but
yeah."
he had jury duty yesterday, so he's working today. So
Well,
it's
that's why
like,
I'm all
okay.
hesitant, And I said, no, 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 let me invite her. And let me invite her where she has enough time to respond. So I sent you something like 3 o'clock in the morning or something,
Oh,
2 o'clock in the
Chantel hit me
morning.
up yesterday.
Oh, okay, good, good,
Yeah,
good, good,
she
good,
hit me
good,
up
good,
yesterday,
good,
but
good.
I was already planning on trying to join anyway. But yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, we're going to end the show. And as Brenda would always say, and she's doing her other side hustle. And she's doing it so well. I mean, this is truly brotherly love. family love. If family doesn't help family, who else will help family? And this is us dropping everything, and because of surge and because of other things we put in place and position, we were able to drop everything and come out here for about 6 weeks. So, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks so much, John, jumping on, Chris. And I just had to mute him. It was a pleasure to meet you, Chris.
Yep, sorry. I gotta run anyway. I just walked in. I'm walking in the next meeting.
Hey,
but
brother, man.
thanks for everything,
I
Rick.
appreciate you. I really appreciate you, Chris. And
Yes, sir.
and CC, never know when he comes on if it's Chris Coakley or Chris.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And he plays
Chris.
that too.
Yep. I
Hey,
like to embrace it.
Chris,
So, all right.
Chris, when you do one of those Chris, when you do one of those Friday nights, you might want to meet a couple of my friends, Jose and Jack. That's all I got.
Yes, sir. I know Tito as well.
Exactly.
You
All
know,
right.
we
Y'all
are
have a
the
great
most,
day. Thank you for everything.
we're the
Thank
most
you.
trusted travel team in Surge 365, but we encourage everyone to come on board. God bless everybody. Thanks, Laura. Thanks,
You're
team.
welcome. Thanks for
Chris.
having me.
Thanks, Laura.
Yep. Thank
Yep.
you.
Look
I'll be
forward
in
to seeing
touch.
you guys soon.